there, and thank you for purchasing the YouTube Secret Weapon tutorial featuring Paul Colligan and myself, Julie Perry. The presentation that you're about to watch was recorded from a live webinar event originally given back in October of 2008. As you'll see here, it was on the 8th and the 9th, and this was recorded as a live webinar for Paul's paid monthly subscribers to his new media inner circle group. It's also where we came up with the name, the YouTube Secret Weapon. And what we've done then is that we've edited the webinar recording, polished it up a bit, and turned it into this DVD product that you're watching here. Now, I'm going to be 100% transparent with you and let you know that, yes, we recorded this back in October, and since that time, there have been a few minor changes on YouTube. Such is the nature of the Web 2.0 beast, whereby sites like YouTube are constantly evolving. So, not a problem. And that's because since you are now a proud owner of YouTube's Secret Weapon, what Paul and I have done to stay on top of things, we've added in this important announcement that you're watching here. This is because we are 100% dedicated to making sure you have the absolute most up-to-date information available on what's happening over at YouTube. So what I've done is I've gone through and changed a few things that I'm telling you about now so that as you watch, you will be prepared and understand why certain things are cut in at awkward times. So it's just sort of to explain why things also might look different on YouTube while I'm showing and demonstrating things with the Camtasia video screen captures. In the meantime, you can always check back over at youtubesecretweapon.com/blog, where we will be keeping you up to date on absolutely all the changes that YouTube has made, continues to make, and we know will, of course, be making in the future. So, as for the changes, one of the things that you're going to notice, first of all, they announced this back in November, that they have switched to the widescreen players on YouTube. So none of the video that you'll watch recorded in the webinar had those larger screens. Basically what happened was they went from the ratio of 4.3 or 4 to 3 to 16 to 9. So as YouTube notes on its blog, they also have expanded the page to 960 pixels. So your video is still going to display fine. If you're already posting to YouTube, you know this. So any videos that were uploaded at a 4:3 ratio, which really is the vast majority, they're now displayed with these black bars here on the sides. So that just becomes sort of empty space. So not a problem. Now, the next change, and this is actually great news, and that is that HD quality videos are now available on YouTube. Now, they actually hinted to this back in November, as you see here, but just last week, which kind of tells you when I'm recording this. Just last week was December 18th. I'm recording this just after Christmas. YouTube made it official by announcing it on its blog. So the reason this is great is because before the change, the only real negative thing that I could find about distributing your videos on YouTube was that out of all the video content sharing sites available, YouTube's video quality was by far the worst. Sites like Blip and Rever, they all had a definite advantage over YouTube. So that's now past tense, not anymore. YouTube does offer HD quality videos. You will, of course, have to upload HD quality video, and then you will see when you do, right here, they have an option, Watch in HD. So if you click on that, that will look like this. This is one of Charles Trippy's videos. And then back here, you can switch back. Videos not uploaded in HD appear as high quality, or they have no option whatsoever. So that's going to be like many of my old The Motors TV episodes that you're going to be watching here on this webinar tutorial. And they're over a year old, so they are obviously in the poor quality of YouTube. So good news, things to come, and Paul and I will be updating you on settings and things you need to know in the future. But meanwhile, everything you need to know can be found in the YouTube help section as far as the settings you're going to need to use for rendering and uploading high definition video. Now, the next big change YouTube made was back in mid-November, and that was the addition of pay-per-click advertising, what they refer to as YouTube sponsored videos. Now, this is supposedly a huge deal for YouTube and yes, it is for them because they're actually making a move toward their monetization strategy. Yet, to be honest, this YouTube Secret Weapon webinar that you are watching is going to teach you how to optimize your YouTube videos naturally and organically so that you do not need to pay for views of your videos on YouTube. Now, we are, of course, experimenting with pay-per-click on YouTube videos to see how it can be effective, and we'll keep you updated on that. Of course, if you want to know more and test it out on your own, simply go and visit ads.youtube.com between now and then, and you'll be able to play around with it on your own. In the meantime, know that none of those changes, the addition of the sponsored video option, affects the information in this tutorial at all. If anything, the addition of pay-per-click makes the information in this webinar more pertinent and valuable to you for how to get your videos optimized so that they rank naturally. Now, something else that has changed since we recorded this webinar. Originally, we had a chapter called Choosing a Video Thumbnail. By thumbnail, I'm referring to the still image we see before a video runs, which is how viewers pick it out from the search results or related video lists and so forth. As far as video search optimization goes, the thumbnail is a pretty important tool in compelling people to click on your video, sort of like how we choose the magazine off a newsstand based on the cover. So note that YouTube is calling this change that they've made one that they've made to improved thumbnails, they call them, which is really their opinion because it depends on how you look at it. In the past, those 3 images that we were given to choose from when your video was rendered just after upload, they were not random. They were actually generated at the frame exactly 1/4, 1/2, and 3/4 way through any video. So in the original webinar that I did, we taught people how to manipulate the editing of their videos so that they had more control over what video thumbnail options were presented to them. So apparently YouTube got sick of people manipulating their videos to feature a bikini-clad female at the midway point, even though the rest of their video may have been on how to buy a $2,500 internet marketing course or something. So YouTube got sick of that. A lot of people were doing it, so they saw that a lot of people were getting more views than were warranted by the content of their videos, and they changed it so that now algorithmically is how the thumbnail options are going to be generated. We'll no longer have control, in other words. And in the end, I would just go with the rule that with the 3 random choices that you're given, you will always want, your best bet is always going to be, you'll want to choose the one that looks the highest quality, so the clearest. Obviously, this one on the far right of Brad's would not be one you'd want to choose. And also, ideally, a video that contains a face or at least a person in it, not necessarily a bikini-clad chick is required, but just any kind of person. People tend to gravitate more towards those types of video thumbnails than others. So anyway, with that aside, the outline has changed, and occasionally throughout the video you may see the old outline pop up where you'll see the choosing a video thumbnail option. So I've removed it, and if you see that still existing in the webinar, then now you'll know. All the other small changes that have been made are going to be addressed as you watch the webinar. I'm not going to talk about them here. And just so that you know, I've added 2 sections to the chapter on your YouTube channel and raising your profile authority. They're minor, and they have to do with editing the settings of your channel, so we'll address those when we are in that chapter 5. And then finally, we have changed the name of the chapter that was once called Utilizing Bulletins and Emails within YouTube to Utilizing Emails and Activity Feeds, formerly bulletins, within YouTube. And this is because since the original recording of this webinar, YouTube has done away with bulletins in their original sense anyway. So they're now similar to what YouTube is calling their activity feeds. I will address that in the chapter 7. So with that, I'm going to get recording this puppy so we can launch next week and then continue to add and update you from there. But please rest assured that the whole point of me recording this important announcement was to let you know that despite the aesthetic differences you'll notice on the YouTube site from when it was recorded back in October to now, such as the addition of the widescreen players, the HD quality option, pay-per-click sponsored videos coming up in the results, and the 960 pixel wide screens. Despite all that, the information in this YouTube secret weapon traffic strategies tutorial is all still incredibly relevant and applicable, and I have updated it as recent as today, December the 28th, to make sure of that. So now let's go optimize some videos.
Hey everybody, it is Paul Colligan, and I am excited that you guys are on this webinar. This is a two-part webinar. We actually did a beta test, for lack of a better term, of this webinar, and we found that there was so much content that we needed to go to two parts. And that's okay, because this is good content. And this is good content personally relevant to me. I have been fascinated. I have been really intrigued with YouTube as of late. They're doing some pretty phenomenal things, some pretty amazing things. And as a result, they're somebody I want to play with. If you look here at the screen, this is a presentation that I did at Google. 5,507 views. You know, a presentation that I did complete embedded with my web address, a opt-in process, a entire presentation of who I am is being syndicated to the world through YouTube. When this thing went live, it was a presentation that I did actually at the Google campus. When this thing went live, I was looking at the stats, and for a while I was the #2 video in technology in India. Kind of an interesting idea. But anyway, 5,507 some odd people have sat through an hour-long plus presentation. This is more than all the people I have ever spoken in front of on a stage before. And this is an intriguing opportunity for me. If we scroll further down this page, you'll see that some really interesting things are happening in the YouTube space. I did this video about the Zune. 2,116 views. You know, now some things you can see don't get as many, but it's interesting, these numbers, these views, these people coming through and taking a look at what I'm doing on YouTube. Now, I don't take YouTube that seriously, to be honest, at this point. Or I wasn't taking YouTube that seriously. I mean, I threw up this page. That's very, very easy to do. And as I publish videos online, I use some of the content distribution systems, which we'll be talking about. But the thing is, I met somebody who takes YouTube very seriously. And she's done some pretty amazing things with YouTube, and I want to give you a sneak peek here. So if we go over to YouTube here, we're looking at an episode. Now, if you look here, it's number 36. Number 36 of a podcast, or a web show, whatever you want to call it. There's all sorts of different issues. People call these things different things. But if you look at episode number 36, look at something really interesting here. 18,435 views. And this is for a show that isn't just distributed by YouTube. This is for a show that had a podcast element and was sent to other places. And 18,000 views. What a distribution platform. Now, yes, there's a viral element to this, but it was a strategic viral element. It wasn't one of these things that was just placed online and it went crazy. You know, this was number, as you can see here, this was number 36 of a series. And this web show, podcast, whatever you want to call it, continues on to this day, partially because of what's happened here. And if you look at the Boaters TV, actually, I'll let our guest go into that. And the gal you see on the screen here, her name is Julie Perry. Julie was the brainchild behind the Boaters TV. She was the brainchild behind its YouTube distribution and its other media distributions. And she, through this and through other things and working with a co-partner of ours on another project, has discovered some really amazing things about YouTube. Some really just vitally important elements to taking YouTube strategically and bringing in the viewers that you want to see and getting the interaction that you want to see. Her name is Julie Perry. And Julie, are you on the line right now?
I am. I'm here in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Beautiful, beautiful. So Julie has put together this presentation on leveraging YouTube traffic strategies that you guys are going to enjoy. It's incredibly powerful stuff. And she's got full control now. She's got the slide deck. She's got the internet access. And I will jump in on occasion and clarify things and whatnot. But right now, I want to hand things over to Julie because she knows a lot more about this topic than I do. And if you hear, pen scratching in the background, that is me taking notes. So, Julie, take it away.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Paul. Yes, that's right. The Voters TV was the way that I sort of got my entree into the whole world of YouTube. It was a video podcast that we did that came out 3 times a week. And what it was a show that we were using to promote another website, which is one of the reasons most of you that are on this call, for marketing reasons, should be using YouTube. We were actually trying to drive traffic over to a social network that we were launching called thevoters.com. And right before thevoters.com was about to launch, we were really behind on our schedule. We were designing this on our own. It was a social network. We weren't just using Ning or Crowdsign to create it. And we got really behind on our schedule with the programming because we were doing this from scratch. And we said, look, it was the middle of summer, and we thought, okay, voters, that's when we're going to get a majority of our users is during the summer. We don't want to miss out on that prime time. So what can we do to start building an audience of people and getting them on the line, on the hook, so that when we do eventually launch, we'll have this target audience of people ready to come join the social network. So we said, okay, well, let's do a podcast and just cover voting news. And so we aired that 3 times a week, and I hosted that. One of the things that kind of came along with that was that I was also going to be selling advertising for the show and ultimately for the website, thevoters.com. So we wanted to make sure that we were getting lots of views because I had to make a media kit to send out to potential advertisers in order to try to monetize the whole thing. So I, through many late nights, stayed up fiddling around with YouTube and trying to figure out various ways to get more views so that we could show potential advertisers, hey, look at all this traffic. And in doing so, I learned a lot of the tricks that I'm going to teach you guys here today, which mainly is that we want to be getting, yes, a lot of views to our YouTube videos, but more importantly, what we want to do is we want to be attracting targeted audience views. Everybody, when I start talking about YouTube, they're always like, yeah, well, so-and-so got 500,000 views on one video, and I saw a guy that had 1 million and 3 million. And look, that's not the point. The main thing here is that it's not necessarily about getting all those views unless you're someone, of course, like Chris Crocker or somebody who's just trying to become famous on YouTube, and then you really don't care. You'll appeal to any general audience. But in terms of marketing on YouTube, the idea here is we want to teach you how to attract targeted audience viewers. Even if that's only 1,000 views, those could be very rich views. Those could be people that then you can direct over to your blog, website, or other online content, which again is really what we did with the Voters TV, because again, that was done during the pre-launch of our social network, and our goal was to build that audience of people interested in voting and voting-related activities who we then could ultimately drive over to the social network. So getting more targeted audience views will, in effect, drive your positioning and results for your keywords and your keyword phrases in the YouTube search index. And that's going to give you more of a chance for people to find you and perhaps even embed you on their own remote sites, such as here's an example where I appeared on someone's blog. Just last week, an episode that I did a year ago for International Talk Like a Pirate Day, several people posted that episode on their blog, and here it is a year later, and my episode is still getting posted on blogs elsewhere. Another thing that you stand a chance of having happen if you are posting to YouTube is that you can get related. Here's an example where I show up in the related videos next to a video that, wow, getting 103,000 views here, and I'm coming up in the related videos. This episode of mine, those 25,000 views, a lot of them came from the fact that I was being recommended next to this major video on this is a video about the largest sailing yacht ever built. That's what we're going to be helping you learn how to do today, is to kind of get yourself up in those search result engines for your keywords and perhaps getting people to stumble across your videos to post them elsewhere and really share your content. The end goal, again, is what we're shooting for, is to get the target audience views.
And Julie, if I could interrupt for a second here. Sure. I think what you're saying is really important, and I want to push this. There's this concept of, a video on YouTube doesn't make sense unless it goes viral and hits the millions. That's only if you're trying to hit the masses. A YouTube video that hits a nichely targeted market is absolutely fabulous. And so the trick is not, especially for the audience here, the trick is not getting a zillion views, unless you want to become famous or something. And really, there's this really funny world of internet famous where, I know a lot of quote unquote internet famous people who still haven't made a dime from it. And what you're talking here is actually leveraging internet fame, for lack of a better term, to bring in targeted people to accomplish the goal so you can actually pay the bills and you're not just internet famous, but, without sounding corny here, internet rich. So it's really important that everybody understands that this is about targeted audience views leveraging YouTube. Now, your audience can always get bigger and your targeting can always get better, but this is about targeted views. I just wanted to point that out. Thanks, Jewel.
Okay, great. In terms of video, with this whole Web 2.0 and social media site trend that we've got going on here, it's an ever-shifting media landscape, and all we're hearing marketing gurus telling us anymore is that we need to be using video, that it's so important to have on your website or to be using to get traffic. And very true. We may have entrepreneurs or blog owners on this call, brand managers, just marketing professionals, or even those people that do want to become famous using YouTube. And these are all people that it's perfect to be using online video if you fall into those categories. Now, some of the benefits of using online video of any kind, of course, people are used to watching TV, and video fits with that habit. You're also talking about the fact that this is auditory and visual, meaning no reading is required. So there's another benefit to be using video on any kind of website. It also adds a little personality to your brand, your product, or your company. And it's a lot easier to establish trust with people and to network and build stronger relationships when you're engaging your audience in this way. By the time we got ready to launch thevoters.com, people felt like they knew me. And that, here I was over at this social network telling them, okay, you've been watching me now for 4 months on this show, come join our social network. And they really trusted me by then and sort of felt like they had this relationship with the host of just the show. So those are just some benefits of using video, and maybe those are kind of obvious. But as far as marketing goes, savvy marketers are going to use online video on their websites to do things like create an infomercial for your product, maybe to have it there on your site to explain a sign-up or an opt-in process, deliver an entire sales letter. You can just have people come directly to your site, and instead of having to do the copywriting, just have you there on video selling something, or even create your blog posts that way. Feature customer testimonials. Instead of saying, okay, here, person, you have to write out this big, long testimonial about my product, just say, hey, at the next event we're at, I'm going to grab my little flip camera and take a video of you telling me how great my product is. You can also use it to do quick reviews of people's affiliate products. These are all great uses for online video. Savvy marketers distribute their online video via all the content sharing sites for list building and lead generation. When it comes to list building and lead generation, you can't beat having your videos distributed, not just on YouTube, but even across all the video content sharing sites. Now, most special emphasis we want to put on YouTube, and I'll explain why in just a little bit.
Now, let me jump in. Let me jump in for a second here, because this is, again, something that I think gets lost in the YouTube hysteria, and is the reason why I brought you on board and why I'm going to start doing some of the things you recommend here, is that, again, just having a video online means nothing. And you mentioned Chris Crocker. Well, what did Chris Crocker get from the millions of views? And I think one of the reasons why I shied away from web videos so much was this hysteria, where you can be on television. Well, I don't want to be on television, and you can have a channel at YouTube. Well, I don't want a channel at YouTube. But then this, list building, lead generation, new customers, new audiences. Aha, now this becomes really, really interesting. At the beginning of this, I showed the presentation at Google. I have seen a dozen plus emails. And of course, if those are the emails, how many other people have come through, who said, hey, saw the presentation at Google, love what you're doing, I'm now following you. That's list building and lead generation. And this is where video becomes extremely powerful. You leverage this with some of the stuff that Julie's going to show, and now this becomes just an absolutely vital element of business. And I took a sneak peek at your slides, and everybody's going to be excited about that concept now. Wait till you see what the numbers really are, and then, yeah, this stuff's going to come together. So I just had to jump in to kind of emphasize that, Julie, so I'll give it back to you, but good stuff.
Sure. Well, and I have seen that argument that's still out there saying, oh, no, I really don't want my video up there mixed with all those other kids throwing bricks at each other's heads on YouTube. But the thing that you have to realize, and John Reese actually just came out with something on Twitter. I don't know if he's going to come out with a blog on it, but he was saying that he really wanted to talk to people about the fact that they should be using their own players on their sites. And there are a lot of reasons to be doing that, and I certainly know the pros. On our blog, we had our own video player. But at the same time, we took those videos and we just distributed them out to all of the content sharing sites. So you really can be doing both, unless, of course, you've got some sort of video that's just for a private audience, or maybe it is explaining an opt-in process right there on a page. You don't necessarily want to toss that out into all the video sharing sites. But when it comes to list building and lead generation, taking some of your own videos and putting them out for the masses to find and come across is going to help you with not only that list building and lead generation, but also search engine optimization. It's just incredible these days how the Google spiders and the bots and things that are out crawling all the pages, they're looking for video, and they're putting emphasis on that when they're returning results to the search engines. And a lot of times, I know right after the Boaters TV launched, one of the things that we had happen when I approached an advertiser, I was able to say to them, oh, do me a favor, go over to Google and do a search for the Newport Boat Show. And they did, and now this has changed since then, but at the time, when you searched for the Newport Boat Show, my video came up on the page 1 of the search engine results. And then when you clicked over just to look at the Google video results, not like a lot of people do that, but I was the top 5 videos because I was on all these video content sharing sites. So anybody that was on there searching for the Newport Boat Show was coming across my video. So then I was able to say, well, hey, by the way, don't you want to advertise with me?
Now, Julie, I'd like to jump in here for a second because I want to emphasize this because some people know this and have seen this, but for those who haven't, I want to explain what's happening here. You know, in the world of search engine optimization, everybody wants to be, found in the search. You search for a term, you want to be in the top 10, preferably, number 1, 2, or 3 in Google. And what you're saying here, if I got it right, is that a video that you put about a product could be in those top results in addition to your website about the product. So maybe you could get not just, one of the top entries, but multiple top entries through the use of video, which does 2 things. A, makes you look very impressive because you're starting to get more than just one, but B, brings multiple paths into your website.
Exactly, and when you're sharing your video on a lot of these sites, especially with YouTube, you're attaching your URL to that video. So a lot of times, and I've been told, a lot of these guys with Traffic Geyser and TubeMogul, they're saying that the bots are out there crawling these pages. They're kind of connecting and associating, okay, this video out for, it appeared all these different times, and every single time it's got www.theboaters.tv in it. So maybe we should be putting emphasis on that as well. So I don't know how much there is to that. I'm not a search engine optimization specialist, but the theory goes that it is helping you when you're getting your video out there on all these video content sharing sites. Yes, people will come across the video there, but that also it might be helping your own search engine optimization for the URL attached to that video. Regardless, though, when they come across the video, and we'll be talking about this as we get into how to post your videos to YouTube, there are ways to get them to really see that URL so that they know, even if they find it on YouTube, okay, I liked this about the Newport Boat Show, but now I know if I want more boating news, I should go and subscribe on YouTube to watch this girl 3 times a week because she's got good boating news.
Beautiful.
Okay. And then, obviously, finally, viral distribution. Everybody wants their video to go viral. That's the big goal out there. And you're really not going to have a chance to do that if you don't have it embedded on a lot of these content sharing sites where someone else can send their friends over either to your channel, they can send out an email with a link, or they can even embed it and take the code and embed it on their own blogs and discuss it. So if you want your videos to have a chance to go viral, you definitely want to be using YouTube and maybe even some of the other video content sharing sites to distribute your videos. So some other advantages, and these are advantages that we definitely benefited from with the Boaters TV, is that you're going to be sending this traffic back to your website. So it's kind of what I just talked about. You're casting out a marketing hook that serves for that lead generation and list building. You're going to be broadening the reach of your content. Again, like I just said, others can now go and take your video and share it with others and even embed it onto their own, say, their MySpace page. They may just want to put something up about the content that you presented, or they want to blog about it. And that allows them to do that. They couldn't do that if it was just kept right there on your site, on your own player, and they'd have to share the link. And nobody wants to do that. They want to be able to put something right on their own page and get traffic there. It allows you to bond with your target groups. Again, with the Voters TV, once we had our videos up there, I started going out into the YouTube community and meeting other people with voting videos and saying, hey, we really would like to use that and cover that in a story. So we not only got to bond with our target groups, but we also got to network and create strategic partnerships with other like-minded individuals, other voting video content creators. And we started sharing stories, and then they would promote me and I would promote them. And we got such a benefit out of doing that. And you're going to find that by putting your videos out there on a lot of these sites. Also, with YouTube, one of my favorite things about it was, yes, people can come to your blog and say, okay, I'm going to sign up here with my email and say that every week I want to be notified whenever Julie puts a new episode out. But it's much easier to get somebody to subscribe to your content on YouTube because they're coming on there all the time to check out other videos. And they may just find themselves on there one day doing something else. And here's one of the cool things I like about YouTube. When you log into YouTube, and this is a screenshot here of my homepage when I log in. Now, people now can customize their homepage and move things around, but the default is that when you log in, your subscriptions show up right in front of you.
Now, Julie, I want to chat about that for a second, because this is vital, and this is an element of Web 2.0 that a lot of people forget. Some people want to control the entire experience. And some people, well, I don't want my videos mixed in with, I see you got, What the Buck in there. And, somebody might say to themselves, I don't want to be mixed in with all this stuff. I just want to control the message. I want to control the announcements. I want to control all these things. And so what happens is you have to make a decision. Are you going to control everything, or are you going to put yourself out in such a way that you are everywhere, which is the true Web 2.0 mindset? If you make yourself available via YouTube subscription, that doesn't prevent you from doing your own subscription mechanisms and paradigms. It just gives you one more way for your audience to realize that you're there.
Exactly. Yeah, and another cool thing, too, if people have subscribed to your videos, they'll see this upon login, which is just basically updating them on your most recent video that you've uploaded. But also, if they've elected to receive the emails that YouTube sends out once a week I get a subscription update. And that's going to tell me every channel that I'm subscribed to, they upload. Oh, look, Brad Fallon uploaded 3 videos. Definitely want to go check out the Mandarin version there. Then we got Charles Trippey has 2 videos out. David Hancock uploaded 3. And then it went all the way down. So everyone I'm subscribed to, if they've uploaded new videos that week, I get alerted through an email. So by getting subscribers, and that's something that I'm going to talk about later, some tips on how to get more subscribers, but you've then really got them on the line so that they can be reminded more frequently of when you have new content. Now, with the Voters TV podcast that we did also use Traffic Geyser to upload our video to 22 other online video content sharing sites. And that's something that if somebody's really into doing a lot of frequent content, using something like Traffic Geyser or TubeMogul, which at the time I did not know about, but I'm learning a lot more about TubeMogul these days, and they've got some really great features that Paul recently blogged about on his blog in terms of being able to check in your statistics and get a reading across all the different channels. These services, what they do is they help you automate the video submission process. You upload your video once, and with the push of a button, they allow you to post it to dozens of video content sharing sites. So basically, you upload it one time, dozens of posts. You do have to have channels set up on all the various online video content sharing sites, but once that's done, that's done. And then from there, it's just a matter of one-time upload and push-button distribution. But that worked really well for us in terms of search optimization and for really getting our video bait out there for the potential audience to grab, and gave us kind of the largest number of viewers that we could get for my purposes of turning around to my advertisers. I mean, you talk about trying to sell advertising, and you say to someone, well, we're on 22 video sites every episode, and then you list the sites, and they're going, they haven't heard of course,